Hi, I'm Daniel and this is Ashville. Today we are showcasing Guilden Village, which is the purpose-built student accommodation created by future generation. This is the first time at Ashville that we've brought you student accommodation, and this is a project which is close to my heart, as 3 years ago, Ashville were part of this. Since then, the project has moved on massively and a main contractor took over. Before I go into the details and tell you where the project is now, I'd like to share with you the history and the construction project cycle. Before any of the main structures were built, Ashville started on site with the demolition. Originally, this was called Guildford College. There were 4 buildings erected here and we had to take them down one by one. The most fun part of the demolition process was when we started. This was previously a construction college. As we went through rooms, we found areas where you could learn carpentry, we found areas where you could learn mechanics, and then we found standard classrooms where I guess people did a lot of their written exams. Once the fun stuff was over, we got into the nitty-gritty of the demolition, and that was not without its challenges. We had to try and keep the road clean. We had to try and keep dust down. We had a lot of rainwater that we needed to manage because there's a field at the back here and areas of it were getting waterlogged. So we had pipes running through the site. We had no record of these pipes. So a lot of these we had to re-divert and reconnect so all the rainwater would be managed correctly and taken away. Also, we had to consider the archaeological elements here because this area is subject to watching briefs, which mean we have to excavate footings very slowly. And we found Roman ruins here. We found some old pottery cups, we found plates, and we found a Roman brick wall. As soon as we found it, we had to stop immediately. We had to alert the authorities and they came down and they were in white suits like astronauts and they watched us. They documented, took away what they could, and when they were finished, we were able to carry on. The next challenge we had was hazardous material. So there was asbestos all over the buildings. We had to remove all of that before the buildings were demolished. And then when we began to excavate and remove footings, we saw materials that looked suspect. We had those tested. It was confirmed it was, and then we had to have all of those removed. Once the hazardous material was gone, and we pulled all the buildings down, we began to screen and crush the material so we could make a piling mat. At that point, the main contractor, McAleer and Rushe, took over. Because of the relationship that we built with them, they brought us in to do the muck away. So when they began to excavate and take out all the inert material, we came in with lorries and took it away. We took out over 2,000 loads. Now the project is almost completed, we thought it'd be a great time to bring you in and tell you about the entire process. With 533 beds of purpose-built student accommodation, a gym, a cinema, a roof terrace, and absolutely state-of-the-art everything, this place far exceeds all expectations of student accommodation without being elitist. On the way in, I couldn't help but notice this brickwork. I think I'm gonna have to have a chat with McAleer and Rushe's project manager, Barry. Me telling you about the demolition on this site is just the Ashville journey. Long before Ashville were ever on site, the owner of this site, Southern Grove, Future Generation, and their owner, Andrew, had a number of challenges. Now I'm gonna bring Andrew in now to tell you about some of those challenges.
Hi Daniel, how are you?
How are we doing?
Good, thanks, you?
Not bad. I always tell everybody that when you see a building standing there, there is a journey. There's a history behind that building. So Andrew's gonna take it all the way back to the start, to 2016.
2016, yeah.
Tell us about the hurdles and the challenges that he faced.
We bought the site unconditionally, so there was no planning permission on the site.
Massive risk.
Massive risk, huge risk. Planning is the biggest single risk at the moment in the UK property and construction industry. We then went for planning. We went for about a year working with the local authority. We got to the planning committee and we got refused.
Why?
Politics. We then went to appeal, planning appeal, with the planning inspectorate. That took another year.
Your initial planning you went for and your appeal, did you make any changes or did you push through the original plan?
We pushed through the original plan that was recommended for approval by the officers. The officers worked for Guildford Council, and then we went to appeal on that basis, and the planning inspector saw that it was the right and fitting for the area and gave us the planning permission. But that took us 2 years from start to finish. And some of the challenges you probably don't know about is that we had equity and debt on the site, and those costs were racking up all that time, as well as we spent another £1 million on the planning costs themselves.
So you bought the site for 15 million, £1 million on planning.
Correct.
And you were servicing the debt as you were going along, completely with no planning at that time, complete risk.
Correct, complete risk. And this is what people don't actually understand. Property development is not for the faint-hearted. It's high risk, high returns, but lots of costs as well. I mean, totally at the moment, our finance costs are running about £5 or £6 million on this site alone.
Just on your finance costs?
Correct, yeah.
Wow. So I imagine before you got planning, you were lower than a snake's belly, and then you ended up at the top of the mountain on the day you got planning.
Absolutely.
I think you gave me a call on that day, actually.
I did. Yeah, I was quite happy when we got the planning consent. But then you go into the next phase. So the next phase then is the detailed design phase. A planning permission is just that. It's very outline. It has the general disposition of the buildings, etc., etc. We then went to the detailed design phase and started to engage with the contractor, the main contractor, McAleer and Rushe.
You said it was recommended for planning.
Yeah.
Was it recommended for planning based on the necessities in this area or on the aesthetic look of it?
Combination. I mean, there is a general need for PBSA, Purpose Built Student Accommodation. Typically in the UK, there are 2 students for every PBSA bed.
Wow.
So therefore, there's an underlying demand. In Surrey, there's 1.8 students per bed. Wow. So whilst it's not at the national average, there's still a fundamental need for student accommodation. And the bit that people don't understand and the viewers don't understand is that currently a lot of students are in what's called HMO, houses of multiple occupancy, which is a standard terrace house that's been converted for students. What we try and do here is provide purpose-built student accommodation for those students in a safe environment where they can learn and meet people, and then return that housing stock back to young families, which is what it was meant and what it was originally designed for.
Wow, okay.
So that's why PBSA is very, very important in the UK. The reason why I'm doing this is that education is one of our best exports, and it's how I got to where I got to. Education is very, very important, and it's here to stay.
Having a look around and just reading it off paper, this appears more like some sort of exclusive members club than it does student dorms. I mean, I went to uni. This looks nothing like the place where I went to uni. Can you explain that? Sure.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, PBSA, they're raising the bar all the time. We have got direct competition. Some of that competition is close to the town. So what we try and do in any built form is, create something that people want, young people want. And what we've done here is we've used the architecture, the design, we design from the inside out, but also the facilities that we have to basically make it the best proposition, obviously at value for money. And that's what a developer has to do. You have to look at your exit and work back.
This doesn't look cheap to me. If I'm looking at, if I'm looking at your competition, I'm looking at where those students stay. The cost to build per foot here looks a lot more expensive. How do your prices compare with your competition?
At the moment, we are the cheapest purpose-built private developer in the local market.
What, and how have you managed that?
Because we buy the land well. At the end of the day, it comes back to buying your land well.
£15 million is buying well?
Well, it is for 533 units.
Wow. What were the other challenges that you faced?
We have all the main challenges. I mean, here we've got oak trees, which are TPO'd, so they're tree preservation orders. So the contractors had to work around those trees. That's challenging in itself. We have an unadopted highway here. So we've still got, we're 2.5 months from completion. We've still got current challenges around that. So we've got to connect into the sewer. We've got to connect to the electrical substation. As you know, we usually did the demolition enabling contract. We had problems with asbestos. Yeah. We had archaeology on the site.
We did.
These are all mainstream issues that you have in property development.
When you originally priced this, how much did you have as your contingency, and have you gone over budget?
Overall, we probably have gone a little bit over budget, certainly over time on the financing costs, as I mentioned earlier. But to be honest, with McAleer and Rushe, we'll be delivering it within the contract sum. Wow. And the final account will look pretty good. But this is breaking back to about £70,000 a bed. So you can probably work it out. It's around £40 million build contract here for the main build.
15 million to buy?
Yeah.
1 million at planning.
Correct.
40 million build.
Correct.
And throw us in some other figures so we can just give them...
Finance costs about £6 million.
6 million.
So yeah, it's a big number. It's not for the faint-hearted.
And what are we renting out? A rough number, you don't have to tell us.
Yeah, the ensuite rooms at the moment are retailing about £199 a week.
£199 a week. And let's hope for...
Which seems expensive, but not for Surrey. You got to remember, we're 40 minutes from London here.
Yes.
So there is almost a London weight into those prices.
Okay, so if I were to take that figure and times it by 533, if we had full occupancy, we would know exactly what Andrew's pulling in.
Yeah, pretty much, Daniel. Yeah, spot on.
Andrew, Southern Grove, He's got his name above the door, as I like to have. Tell us about Future Generation. What's the thinking, you know?
Yeah, well, Future Generation was conceived about 4 years ago, basically on the back of this. This is the jewel in the crown. But Future Generation is a sub-brand of Southern Grove. So it's trademarked by Southern Grove. We've got our joint venture partners, Tadaman, who provide the equity and the support to make all this happen. But basically, it's a standalone trademark and brand used for our student accommodation, our PBSA.
Andrew, tell us a little bit about your vision here. When you walked around here first, before you bought it, you had an idea in your head. Is that exactly what you've transformed here?
I think originally, our original vision, we wanted slightly more units and a larger scheme, but then you're constrained by planning. Guildford itself has the University of Surrey. It has a need for PBSA, as I've mentioned, has a need for this type of accommodation. Now, there are some challenges. This scheme is about 30 minutes from the campus, the University of Surrey campus. So we had to have vision. We had to think, how's this going to work? How are we going to attract people here? And as you identified earlier, this is because of the facilities that we provide and the fact that we're in a park. So we're in Stoke Park. We've got natural, beautiful parkland around it. And students only spend 10% of their time on campus. So at the end of the day, they're going to be in a much better feel here, safe, secure, with all the amenities you can possibly, imagine. And that's why we've called it Guilden Village. It literally is a village in this location. So
originally you wanted more beds. So by having less beds and providing all these amenities, did you actually take a haircut off your original bottom line?
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable. If you buy a site unconditionally and you have to go through the planning process, your original vision and the end doesn't always match up. It's very, very unlikely. But it worked within the constraints that we had, and we obviously moved forward. If it wasn't, if we couldn't make a profit, we wouldn't have funded it, we wouldn't be able to move forward.
You mentioned somebody providing equity.
Yeah.
Tell us about the other sites you've got and how much equity you've put into there, what sites you've bought there. You're not going to get away with it. Everybody wants to know figures. We want to know figures. Tell us, Andrew.
That's fine. Well, there's about 60 million of equity swimming around in our sites in Steel City, Sheffield, Hive Mills in Colchester, the Luxurio in Loughborough, the Vantage in Nottingham, and of course the jewel in the crown, Guilden Village in Guildford.
Guys, yeah, there's 60 million just swimming around. That was the owner of the site, Andrew Southern. Now, we are lucky enough to have the project manager, which is Barry at McAleer and Rushe. And if by magic he may be round this corner.
Daniel, good to see you again.
Barry is the project manager of this site. He has managed the entire site as soon as Ashville handed it over. Barry, can you show us around?
Yeah, let's have a look.
Let's go. Let's talk a little bit about our history, because we handed the site over to you guys. We were basically put in a basket and given to you by Andrew, weren't we? So he was like, you two get on with it, just carry on. So you didn't have to use us.
Didn't have to, but Andrew politely introduced you guys to us and vouched for you in some regard, which was good. We needed someone with the capabilities of taking the muck away from site. There was 416 piles on site at 25 metres deep. 415 millimetre in diameter. As we're piling into the ground, there's a lot of muck at 25 metres deep to come out. We needed to get that off site.
I can imagine when you're going into the ground, as the muck is coming out, if you don't get rid of it immediately, it's a space problem. And if you were to fall behind on program at that early stage, it would be catastrophic now. Obviously, everything's a knock on. I don't need to tell the project manager of the year.
I don't know about that just yet. Space is one thing, but if you recall, the weather at that time was atrocious.
Yes, it was.
Absolutely atrocious. The diggers, the dumpers going through that period of time was generating more muck as well, and the more we had it sitting here, the more effectively it was turning into soup. So we needed it off site, and thankfully, not to big you up, but someone with the capabilities of Ashville that had the fleet that you had.
I remember some days, what did we take between 50 and 70 loads a day out of here, wasn't it?
There was one day we hit 80 loads.
One day we hit 80 loads. You hear that? 80 8-wheel tipper loads out of here in one day, completely flat out. And I say this is one of the sites where we went where as soon as we got there in the morning, it was like a stopwatch. Obviously on site, you work to the permission which you're allowed, which on this site was 8 o'clock. The boys were ready outside, we were lined up, everybody was waiting. And it was like, at the stock exchange when it goes dong and everyone goes, ah! That's exactly what happened here. We had the lorries piled up on the road, straight in, machine driver was ready, loaded the lorries out all day long, churning it out all day long. So after the piling, what was next?
So after we did the piling, it was important to form the pile caps, and that was your substructure. So we have 4 blocks here, effectively supported off our piles and our pile cap foundation. And then we've got 4 ground bearing slabs. Those slabs are tied in, the reinforcement are tied into the pile caps, which are tied into the piles.
Okay.
And from there, once we got the ground floor slabs poured, we went upwards with our concrete frame.
What do you think the reason was for 25-metre piles? Do you think it was the sheer size of these buildings and the weight, or was it the ground conditions?
Ground conditions.
Ground conditions.
Ground conditions. So predominantly London clay.
So now that we've got these 25-metre piles, these structures aren't going anywhere.
These structures aren't going anywhere, no.
Something very interesting I'm looking at. Tell us about that.
This is a canty deck. Throughout the project, we'll fit these bedrooms out with furniture, but you want to get the facade up to maintain your critical path. What we decided to do with this project was keep a loading bay out in each block, and we use those canty decks up there so they roll out. You can load the furniture in with the tower crane, take the furniture into the building, and all the while our facade has progressed past it.
So that's actually a lot safer than balancing the crane and trying to trying to push things onto each level. I need you to explain this brickwork to me, because I know it's something that Andrew is very proud of, but I'm actually quite interested in it myself. So can we have a look?
Yeah, let's go have a look.
Now, tell us a little bit about this.
We inherited a scheme here, Daniel. The previous architect before planning stage had a scheme which we later discovered that it was predominantly designed to suit precast construction methods.
Okay.
Modern methods construction.
Yes.
And when we went to market, we discovered there was huge lead times, like 24-month lead times in some of those products.
Yes.
So obviously that wouldn't have delivered the scheme in time.
Yep.
So we had to try and find a solution that allowed us to deliver for Andrew and Southern Grove future generation.
Did you have much input into this design?
We took a design and build contract, so we did.
Are you a full design and build here, yeah?
Full design and build.
So basically the buck stops with you?
It does. However, we didn't want the building to lose any of its brilliance in terms of its architecture, but we did have to find a way of simplifying it a little bit so that we could actually build it. So we've then spent 8 months with Guildford Borough Council.
8 months?
8 months. The pandemic hit right in the middle of it. I'm sure it would have been 2 months, 3 months, but we found a solution to flatten the facade a little bit. This was initially 650 millimeters off of the concrete frame.
Okay.
It's now back to 450. That involved the textured finish that we see here, and then also the stepped reveals that we see in the windows.
So when this changed, did this end up costing more money or less money than you had originally priced, or had you put a provisional sum in for the brickwork?
Didn't cost us any more. We were within the design and build contract, so
so you basically took this on the chin?
It took it on the chin, and it cost us a lot of time. That was the big thing, Daniel. We were looking essentially at 4 concrete frames, and it took us a little bit of time in actually getting to progress with the brickwork. Behind this, there's SFS framing for the internal skin, SFS and CP board, and we needed that to go up to make progress inside.
Brickies are a breed of their own. How did they feel about doing this?
We acquired a particular set of skill sets. Our bricklaying contractor thankfully had the right guys for the job. We could have had 40, 50 bricklayers here to get us pushed on, but unfortunately, with the nature of the work, we were working with between 20 and 30 bricklayers at any time.
Barry, I want to thank you so much for your time. I've taken too much of it already. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Daniel.
And you're doing a great job. Barry told us a little bit about the piles and the foundation. On top of this foundation, for the rest of the structure, concrete columns were poured on site. After the concrete columns, we had slabs. On top of these slabs, again, concrete columns, which were directly on top of the concrete columns below, which were tied in together, and then another slab. In total, there are 24 slabs on site, which would make you think of a high-rise tower. They're just spread out across all the buildings. Let's have a look at the build-up of an external wall. Now, at first glance, you may look at this and think this is an internal stud partition. No, this is slightly different, and this one has structural properties. So stay with me for this build-up. So in between this, we have 100 mil insulation. Then we have cement board here. We then have 200mm of insulation. We then have a 50mm cavity, and then we have single skin brickwork. This is what the external walls look like with all the insulation in. From a side profile, cement board, insulation, 50mm cavity, single brick. Generally, when you're building multiple dwellings, you have 60mm walls in between the dwellings, but you have 30mm walls in between the rooms. This is for fire. So when I'm walking around here, as there are multiple bedrooms, I'm thinking to myself, what walls do you have? Do you have 60? Do you have 30? What happens here is every 10 bedrooms counts as basically an apartment. So those 10 bedrooms outside them have 60mm walls. And within those bedrooms, those are 30mm walls. Now let's talk about the build-up of those. The 30mm walls here are 70mm stud, 50mm board on one side, 50mm board on the other. Now the 60mm walls are 70mm stud, slight gap, then another 70mm stud, 2 15mm board on this side, 2 15mm board on that side. Some of you will be happy to see that we have lifts. Now, 3 of the buildings have 6 floors and 1 of the buildings have 5 floors. This building, which is block A, has 2 lifts because of all the amenities, and all the other blocks have 1 lift. Now, the people that are going here, the students, they shouldn't be using the lift. They should be going up and down the stairs, keeping fit. But I suppose with the gym, some of you may get lazy and use the lift. Me personally, I'm serious, so I take the stairs. This is the premium ensuite room. 80% of the development are rooms like these. This is 130 square foot. While the room may look small with me standing here, I am not your average size student, and I have plenty of room. This is a lot better than the room that I had at uni. In order to design this area, expertise was brought on from the hospitality sector, which was Andrew's in-house architect, Tim Barrett. Tim's thinking behind all of this was to not use conventional woodwork everywhere. Can you imagine a cupboard being here and a cupboard being here? This space would feel a lot smaller. We've gone for metalwork, what gives transparency. A window like this, natural light would come in and spread across the room, and we have a much bigger feeling of space. We also have the latest in technology in each room. We have Samsung televisions. Andrew, Southern Grove, and Future Generation have a deal with Samsung. I'm sitting here trying to envision handing in my coursework, trying to upload a large file, having someone send me a file and trying to download it. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to do this? You know the struggles we have at Ashville, we're trying to upload videos to YouTube. Well, this site has 1 gig of Wi-Fi, and each room has its own IP address for security. On the way out of the room, we have the ensuite bathroom. Now this bathroom, every bathroom in this development and all the Future Generation sites all have these pod bathrooms which were made in a factory in Hull. They were delivered here and dropped in place. As we leave the bathroom, we leave our room, and we notice we do not use conventional keys here. A lot like a hotel, we have a card system for security. And now we walk round to the shared kitchen. Now, dependent on the size of the kitchen, each kitchen is shared by between 5 and 10 bedrooms. The average on this site is 8. In the kitchen, you can see how high quality it is. We have full soft close everywhere. We have the Samsung double fridge freezer. We have an oven. We have 2 induction hobs. We have a double sink, and we have the microwave. Having a look at this kitchen and the colours used in the apartments and the communal areas, you can see that what's been used here is much more of a mature colour palette. Ordinarily with student residences, people used a lot of primary colours because they thought that people were learning. Well, for me personally, if this was a place where I was studying, I would much prefer to look at these colours and the design that's gone into it. While you're at university working hard, you also meet a lot of people. And a lot of people say that your network is your net worth. Having a look at these communal areas where you can eat. You can sit up at a high level here, or you can sit at a table over there. Areas like this are really important for when you're bonding with the other people who are here and you just want to offload a bit. This is a deluxe studio apartment. This is a self-contained unit which has its own kitchen. This kitchen looks very similar to the one I showed you earlier, which is shared. This is a lot better than some of the 1-bedroom studio apartments which are sold in London. This is 300 square foot. This room has all the same features, the transparency in the area where you hang your clothes, the metalwork used to house your Samsung television. We have the same bespoke black Samsung unit. Having a look at the kitchen, something very important to remember, guys. When you have a studio apartment, you have your own kitchen. It doesn't mean that you can then go and share the kitchen with the other people who only have an ensuite room. Now, there is one type of ensuite unit, but there are 3 types of studio units. The main difference between the studio units being the size of them. Something very important to consider also. This is a show apartment, so all you can see is this mock-up of what the view is like. Now, we are on the 1st floor, and on this side of the building, you'll look out to the park. If you're on the other side of the building, you can look into the courtyard, or you can look out over into Surrey, looking out over the college on this side and the Lido on the other side. Let's go a little bit further into the continuity and design in these spaces. These kitchen doors are what we call a battleship grey. Now, ordinarily, you'd see internal carcasses which are white, which don't match the doors. However, we have fully sprayed carcasses to match the outside. Internally, having a look at this carcass, we have a storage area once you wash your dishes to put them up here, and a drip tray. So you're never going to get any water damage in any of these units. Having a look at the worktop, we've gone for a near indestructible timber-like surface. So this surface has been tested with meat cleavers. You can put hot pans in here, it doesn't damage it. You can chop any of your fruit, any of your veg, and this will not be damaged. Now, a splashback in the same material has been used for continuity, but also to protect the walls from any damage. Having a look here, we have the brushed stainless steel splashback. Next to the splashback, we have the brushed stainless steel sockets and switches with the black inserts. Now, black inserts, and then we go to the handles of the kitchen, and we have a toughened, powder-coated matte black handle. The design follows over to the entertainment area. You can see the battleship grey metalwork. You can see, again, the indestructible timber surface. I can see here a Cat 6 cable has been run directly into this apartment. Using this, you could take full advantage of their fantastic internet facilities. Having a look at both of the walls here, electrics have been laid out in a standard way on this side. However, over here, we have metal exposed conduit and surface mounted sockets. Moving over to the breakfast bar area, we can see the metalwork again is in the battleship grey. We have the worktop area, which is the indestructible wood, and the cupboard / storage area follows the same theme. I could literally stay in this room all day looking at all the cool features. Have a look at this, what I guess is designed for hanging your bags and coats or whatever else. For me, it looks like I'm about to go rock climbing. Now, you know I love storage. Have a look at this under the bed, storage already in place for you. Now, I'm not saying the students sleep a lot, but if you did decide to have a lazy day and have a lie-in, you could block out all the light. They really have thought of everything here. All the bedside double sockets have USB charging points. In this room, we can see the Samsung air conditioning unit in a lot more detail. Now, this was designed specifically for future generation and all of their developments. These are the external units to the internal units within the apartments. The wall thermostat is here, so you can monitor your temperature all the time. Remember, it's not air conditioning, it's climate control. Finally, the ensuite bathroom, which is a pod and exactly the same in every single way as the one I showed you previously and every other bathroom in this site. And for that very special ambiance when you're trying to chill out in your bathroom, we have under unit lighting. Now let's go and find Jack from Future Generation. He's going to tell us a little bit more about the amenities and features and try to help us visualize the full Guilden Village experience. This is Jack from Future Generation, who is the head of sales and marketing. Not this guy.
Hello, how are you?
Not bad, not bad. Walking around this site and hearing about all the amenities, I'd actually like to know what it would be to be a student here. I know that I'm going to get some sort of tour, some sort of virtual tour. But how can everyone else experience Guilden Village?
So effectively, you can book a viewing online. So you can go to futuregeneration.com, you can call up on Prestige Student Living, that's our partner as well. Or you can just turn up at any point between 9 and 5. We will show you around, we'll give you a full experience as well, a full visual walkthrough, a big 65-inch TV in the kitchen. We'll give you a game controller and you can walk around the whole development as though you're in a virtual game. So we give you that real life experience rather than giving you the hard sell, because what we're selling is a lifestyle, not just a product.
So at the moment, I believe that we are in the sales and marketing suite. Now, is this going to be here forever, or is this temporary, or?
So what we're actually in is a studio. So if you look around, that's the actual section for where the TV would go. The bed will probably go over this section. So right now it is a temporary build. We'll rebuild all of this when we finish the en-suites in the studio and the build in a couple of months.
So could you show us around a little bit?
Yeah, let's go. Let me get some PPE.
Let's go.
This is the reception area that these students will start their journey with us.
Okay, fine. All right, should we start our virtual tour?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Let's go.
As it is a building site live, we can't go far out. The exit is blocked.
Shall we let the tour take us there, and then you and I will magically appear there?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's go. I wonder what room this is. Tell me.
Well, we're actually in the cinema room.
Oh, we really?
Yeah, can you believe it?
Oh, wow.
Big
Crazy.
space. When you think of a lot of the PBSA providers, they only give you a small box room, but here we go big and we go home.
Yeah. I very much like it. So what sort of films will you be showing here?
Oh, Wolf of Wall Street.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can imagine this is definitely that sort of place.
Yeah.
Jack, no doubt, in keeping with the rest of the building, this will be some top of the range, Elon Musk kind of Samsung 1000-inch going to the next galaxy television, won't it?
Oh, you best believe. I mean, one of our taglines is next level, so everything in this building will be next level.
I can see it now. Where are we going next, Jack? Tell us.
The games room.
Jack, as this is a virtual tour, we'll play a bit of virtual table tennis.
Yeah.
I'll stop now, because I don't want to beat you that badly. What room is this?
This is actually the games room. So
This is the games room, and I'm understanding that this isn't finished yet. Tell me, what games will be here? What will the students be able to play?
So ping pong, pool, foosball, mahjong, I think I'm saying that right. A mixture for everyone really, but whatever you want, we will put in here effectively. That's the sort of business that we are.
So this is like a large communal space just to unwind. You've been studying all day, you're under pressure, you want to take 10 minutes after. When if you're just walking through and you just want to have a go at something, or you want to come here with your friends, this is just like a general chill out, hangout area.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a place to meet people. Again, this is a village, it's a community. So you may have booked a studio, but there's 400 plus other students in en-suites that can be here, and you can make friends with them and play games, you know?
Sounds good. Where is next on the tour?
Next, we're actually going to the courtyard. We've got an external fitness trail that will be going in there. Obviously, I can't show you that now, but in the virtual reality, you'll see that. So.
Okay, Jack, out in the courtyard, the fitness trail will be here amongst other things. Can you tell us what else will be here?
Yeah, so there'll be some nice little seating areas, some little swing sets as well, nice little lawned areas, a few ornaments here and things. So we just give you a nice green space as well. As much as we're on an idyllic Stoke Park, you've got an internal courtyard if you want that privacy as well, so you can relax in the sun with some mates, or you can do some dips or pull-ups on the external fitness trail. So we'll give you everything.
Okay, now here I can see every block. Can you label these blocks for us?
Yeah, it's nice and easy. So we've got block A, block B, block C, and block D. Block D is where we're going in a minute. That's where the gym is. And then after that, we'll go to block A, where the rooftop and sky lounge is.
When we're leaving block D to go to block A, can we walk straight through the building, or do we have to go out and?
No, you're gonna have to go out into the other block.
Why is that?
Because they're not connected.
They're not connected. Security reasons, or?
Security reasons as well, but effectively we've built each block separately.
Just because you're renting an apartment in block D, it doesn't mean that you could just walk over to block A.
No, so the only way you'll get access to the blocks is if there's a communal aspect, so like the rooftop or the gym, but you'll only have access to that area. So we're not going to give you access to every floor because one, security, and two, we don't want everybody just going from every other flat, because then if there is an issue, well, we've at least caveated that by blocking out everyone's keys.
Makes perfect sense. Should we head to the gym?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. So Jack, I'm assuming that this is the gym.
You are correct.
Yes, I can feel the fitness going through me already.
Can you feel the burn?
Yes, and I believe that this is a Morsia Gym.
Yeah.
Which is by Matt Does Fitness.
Correct, yeah.
I really like what Matt Does Fitness does. He has all solid bulldog equipment, everything you need to build a proper physique. And I assume all your students here will be benefiting from that?
Absolutely, and we've actually got exclusivity for the first Morsia gyms in our properties.
Do you really? You know, I could just do this all day. Where are we going next?
We're actually going to Block A, so the rooftop.
Okay.
To get some views over Stoke Park.
Okay.
So do you want to go?
Should we go there now?
Do you want to keep doing that, or do you want to go?
Nah, let's go.
So welcome to the Sky Lounge.
Wow.
This is why Guilden Village is the jewel in our crown.
Wow.
The views, the location, it is all perfect. You can't get anything better. Actually, in probably all of the PBSA that's being built right now, this is probably the best in the UK.
What a view.
I know.
And so we have the roof terrace there.
Correct.
Tell me about this area.
So over here, we've actually got a mini golf set up, so crazy golf. You can have some drinks with your mates, have a bit of fun before a night out. You've then got a private dining room over here. So if you don't feel like going home for Christmas, maybe you can bring your family, you can cook for them. You can have your dates here, whatever you want. Even your mates, like if you want to cook as a group, do a whole sort of bake-off situation, whatever.
Mate, this is something new to me.
It's next level.
With student living, yes. So we've got a private dining, we've got a roof terrace, great view. Where am I playing golf up here?
From here, really. So like, there's like a course that goes all the way around.
Care to demonstrate?
Yeah.
Oh, and here's what you've got from earlier.
I mean, I prepared this just in case, you know, for the VVIP experience.
Yes, I'm feeling very special at the moment.
Good. It's just a bit of fun. It's nothing serious. Like, it's not going to be the most mental crazy golf you've ever seen, but what it is fun. And that's what we're all about, is having a bit of fun.
Okay, now my golf was never great. I took lessons and they said that I was too aggressive.
I mean, for crazy golf, it's more of a putt.
Oh, is it more of a putt? Okay,
yeah,
well, I could do that.
Just a gentle putt.
Yeah, they reckon I was a bit too aggressive, but so great. Can I take a look at the roof terrace?
Yeah, let's go, let's go. This is the roof terrace. If you want to catch some sun, you can do that.
Wow.
If you want to watch the game, we've got an outdoor TV, artificial grass.
So you'll be showing sports events?
Whatever you want. Ultimately, it's your home, it's a village, it's a lifestyle. So what the group wants to do, we'll do.
This is definitely like some sort of private members club in London.
Right.
One which probably won't let me in because I did apply 3 times and I didn't get in. Yeah, I'm holding a grudge. I'm definitely holding a grudge.
It's called Guilden Village for a reason though. You have everything here. You don't need to leave. You can spend 80% of your life here if you really need to whilst you're at university.
Fantastic.
Right, so this is the end of the tour. We've brought you to the rooftop. This is the pièce de résistance of the actual tour.
Okay, guys, if any of you would like to experience this, you got to click on the link in the description. Alternatively, if you are in the area, you can pop in here and you can have the same tour yourselves. Now, once you are a resident here, the areas I've shown you will be open 24 hours, but that does not mean that you can come for a tour 24 hours a day. What sort of hours in the day do we want them to pop in here?
9-5 normally, but over summer we'll be open on Saturdays as well from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m.
You heard it here first, guys. I wanted to bring everybody back out on the roof to give you guys another look at the magnitude and the size of this build. A lot of people don't know the time and all the heartbreak that goes into building something like this, so I want to thank the team here. I'm happy to have been involved in something like this, and it's actually an honor. I want to thank Barry for his time today because we pulled him off site. Being a project manager on a site like this takes patience, persistence, fortitude, and a lot of technical know-how. I want to thank Andrew for thinking about this and taking the risk. Think about the risks that Andrew has taken here. No guarantees, £15 million on the line, and this is the end result. So when a lot of you see a big building like this, you think to yourself, oh yeah, that company, oh yeah, there's a big building, that was easily done. It doesn't work like that. So Andrew, respect to you, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm happy for you to see that your vision has actually become a reality. And Jack, this is where you take over. So now, all the work that's been done by Barry, and all the thoughts and all the dreams and all the heartache that Andrew's had, we now hand over to you. So now you can engage with the end user and you can try and sell them the full Guilden Village experience. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the showcase of future generations Guilden Village purpose-built student accommodation units. Hopefully after watching this and learning a little bit more about the journey, you know what it takes to develop at this level. Now, a lot of you are already doing this on a much smaller level. This will show you the magnitude of what can be achieved when you begin to scale up. Remember this, guys, it's the same appraisals, the same highs and the same lows, just less zeros. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.